Hi everyone, it's Kathy Zilski. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have more Gina K Designs goodness. I'm going to do some more things with her amazing new product, the Glitz Glitter Gel, along with some of her stamp and stencils. So let's jump in and look at the products that I'm using today. I'm going to be using Gina's new stamp and stencil, the Petals and Wings set. Now this is a set designed for lots of two-step stamping. But today I will only be using the butterfly wings, and I'll be stamping those out and then cutting them out with the coordinating die. Here is the Petals and Wings die set that cuts out all of the images that you can stamp from this particular stamp set. So got that set aside, and I've also got two of Gina's stitched and double stitched oval dies, and these are designed to nest together. I'm going to be using Glitz Glitter Gel, and this is in the Sweet Mango. And what I like about this card project, it's just using one main color. I'm going to be using the coordinating detail stencil, both the butterfly body and that leaf greenery pattern. And I'll be using that little guy right there to layer in the gel. For ink colors today, I've got some of Gina's grass green, Jellybean green, and the Sweet Mango. I've got my palette knife here for adding the gel, and I've also got a little bit of Gina's fine detail gold embossing powder that I will be stamping on my card project today. And for my cardstock, I'm using Gina's Pure Luxury White, the heavy base weight. And I'll be using my Misty tool, which is going to come in very handy because there's a lot of stamping. The first thing I'm going to do is show you how to do the butterflies. So I'm going to pick that up with the Misty door. I'm going to use the Sweet Mango ink, just ink it up really well, and then go ahead and just press that down to get my first impression. And I'm going to hit it twice just to make sure I get a really solid impression. And my stamps are pretty new. I haven't used them a lot yet, so they get better as you use them. And I'm going to press this down. I'll stamp an extra one in the opposite corner just for a backup, but what I'm going to do is tape it down with a little 1/2 inch purple tape. And just go ahead and cut that out. They're very easy images to cut out. And I'll pop out my little butterfly, and that looks fantastic. Look at how nicely that cut. Perfectly framed out. Now I'm going to pop it back in to the cardstock from whence it came. Put a little tape on the back just to hold it in place. And then I will lay down the stencil, the detail stencil, over the body of the butterfly. And I'm going to put some purple tape at the top, but also just right there on the edge because there's just a tiny bit that I was afraid it might get onto the actual butterfly stamped image. Now I'll take my gel out. It is super creamy stuff. Just get my palette knife, stir it around, get a little bit onto the knife, and then I'm going to go ahead and press that down and smooth it into the area like that. Just like that, just like a little tiny butterfly cake. It's pretty easy to use actually, and I'm surprised because things like this intimidate me sometimes, but this product really does go on beautifully. You want to scrape off as much as you can because you can put it right back in the container. And then you peel off your tape and then lift your stencil straight up. You don't want to mar up what you've done. And that looks great, just fantastic. And I've already done a bunch of these off camera because I wanted them to dry, but I wanted to show you I use a wet paper towel after I'm done just to wipe off as much of that glitter as possible. But here are the ones that I did before I started filming, and they look fantastic. The ink dries so smooth and the glitter looks great. I really like how they turned out. Now for the stencil of the greenery. I'm just going to tape this into place. I've got a little piece of purple tape underneath to hold it down. And I'm just going to take a few of Gina's inks, 2 greens, and I'm using one of my life-changing brushes, and they are called life-changing brushes for a reason. I haven't been a good ink blender, and I feel like all of a sudden I know how to ink blend. Well, I mean, I'm not blending 2 colors together. They're both green. You know what I mean. The brushes are amazing because I want to have a much lighter feel at the top, and I want to come in now with this darker green, with the grass green, and just add a little depth to the bottom area of these branches. And now when I peel it off, you can see a little darker at the bottom, a little lighter at the top. And now I'm going to come back in with a very light hand with the Jellybean green just to add a little more color in and around the greenery. And again, the brushes really do make it possible to get that light hand. I think that looks really nice. Blending accomplished. Now I'm going to cut my ovals out. I've got the 2 different sizes. I'm going to cut the bigger one out of the greenery panel, and I'm using Jellybean green cardstock for the smaller one. And you can see when you layer it together, you get that nice inner frame, and I love it. Now it's time to plan out the stamping. Now I want to use the Wishing You Sunshine and Love because I thought that would fit in there really well. But I also want to stamp the little butterfly trails. I think the dotted little trails, if that's what they're called, are so cute. So I'm starting with one of them on the actual greenery panel. I'm going to use my embossing magic to get the static off, ink it up with Versamark, press that down, and then sprinkle on the gold powder right onto that piece right there. Get my heat tool nice and hot and then quickly melt it, and I have my first butterfly trail that is all shiny and gold. Next, I want to do more stamping, but I don't want to do it on the card base because I want to minimize warping. So I cut a smaller panel that I'm going to stamp both the sentiment and the remaining butterfly trails. Getting the butterflies back in to help me plan the position and stamping that down, adding the powder, melting it. I'm doing it one at a time because I just wanted to make sure that everything was in the right order and the right place. Kind of figured out where trail number 2 was going to go. And again, took everything out, stamped it down, and repeated the process of adding the powder, tapping it off, and melting it. So that is the second trail. And then I added one more trail in the same fashion. Looks pretty good. Now to assemble the card. I'm going to score it at 5.5, so it's top folding, 5.5 by 4.25. I like to tape my cards closed when I'm putting them together just so it stays nice and flat so I can see what I'm doing. And now I'm going to take a little bit of Gina's dot runner and just add some to that inner frame of green and quickly place that down. So that's nice and adhered together with that nice little inner bit of Jellybean green, and it matches the ink beautifully. I'm going to glue down the other panel and then add some of Gina's foam tape to the back of the greenery panel and mount that on the card base so that it has a nice little bit of framing margin space. The last step is just to put a little dot runner on the edges of my butterflies, line them up with the stamped trails, and place them down. And of course, the glitter dries pretty quickly. I mean, I think I had these drying for about 40 minutes, so you can touch them and press on them, and it does not come off, and it just looks so, so good. And that is my finished card project. I really like taking just one color of stamping, the Sweet Mango and the Sweet Mango Glitz, and just creating 3 of the same color, popping them onto that sweet little greenery background, and then stamping all of the details in gold. Thanks so much for watching today. I would love to have you become a subscriber, and I will see you back here with another card project soon.